Welcome to the Library Podcast. My name's Kim. To the Library hopes to encourage readers and listeners to delve deeper into their local libraries and bookshops to uncover treasures among the shelves that go beyond the new releases. Today, we are exploring the world of healing fiction. For me, it all began with Michiko Aoyama's What You Are Looking For Is in the Library. I enjoyed the casual, episodic nature of the book. After finishing, I soon found myself with The Cat Who Saved Books in my hands. From here, I learned that I had been cozying up with what is deemed healing fiction. It was Japanese manga and anime in the 1990s that created the genre now known as healing fiction. It soon expanded to novels, and in the 2010s, South Korea saw the emergence of their own healing fiction works and authors. What exactly is healing fiction, you ask? Like any genre, there are elements one might expect to find when they are reading a book, but not every novel will necessarily have each element. In general, healing fiction shares a slice of life narrative and creates a cozy atmosphere through its use of calm locations, think libraries, bookshops, cafes, and its wholesome storylines. The books provide a wonderful sense of whimsy that is often created through the use of a dash of magical realism. Characters within the novels are often dealing with loneliness, and through their stories, they offer the reader moments of reflection as they turn the page. Overall, the books provide readers with a sense of hope once they close the back cover. Anne-Marie and Fred joined me to share their thoughts on healing fiction. So joining me now are Anne-Marie and Fred, and I first wanted to ask what your history with healing fiction is, maybe some of the books you've read when you started to read healing fiction. Who'd like to go first?
Um, it's very easy. I had a book club selection that was called Before the Coffee Gets Cold, and I really enjoyed it. Sorry, the author's name is Toshikazu Kawaguchi. And it was not presented to me as healing fiction. It was just a book for the book club, and I read it and I really enjoyed it. Um, I like the idea of time travel, and that's what this is set in a cafe where one seat allows one of the customers to travel to another time, perhaps to fix something from the past if they can, but they're not allowed to move out of the cafe when they're back in time. And you have to do whatever you're doing before your cup of coffee gets cold. Um, so yeah, even though I'm not a coffee drinker, I did enjoy that book, and I was surprised that it was considered healing fiction because that to me, it seems like you have to be wounded in some way that you have to read this book to heal you, or are they just presuming that we're all needing healing because we're in a troubled world? I don't know. I don't like the designation healing fiction, but I enjoyed that book.
So last year I read two incredible Japanese novels that fall under the healing fiction category. And that was, they were Will Prescribe You a Cat by Sho Ishida, and What You Are Looking For Is in the Library by Michiko Aoyama. Now, I did talk about these a little bit in past podcasts. And just to reiterate, I absolutely fell in love with both of these books. And I enthusiastically recommend them to anyone out there who wants to dip their toe in healing fiction or who have read other books of healing fiction. These are two that I really, really, really enjoyed. And, we talk about the magic realism. And in both of these books, I would have entered that world in a heartbeat. Like if there was some portal that was presented to me and they said, "Hey, you can come into this world," I'd be like, "Yep, I'm first in line." Especially like the librarian, I loved her, and I would love to know like what beautiful felted precious object she would make for me, and that's I would love that. Now, so I also read very recently Before We Forget Kindness by Toshikazu Kawaguchi, which is the fifth in the Before the Coffee Gets Cold series. Okay.
Does it
So
continue with the time travel?
okay, yes. And okay, so I didn't read the first book. I didn't read the next three books or yeah, so I read the fifth in the series, which is I think is really is the last one that he's written. Okay. So I think, okay, I'm not going to be very kind right now, and because of the title, I feel really bad about that. But okay, so he definitely followed the formula for healing fiction, but it honestly just fell flat for me. I had a difficult time connecting with both the regulars, like the regular characters, and with the episodic characters and their dilemmas. And the magic realism piece, it just didn't have the endearing quality that the other two novels had for me. And I think that the magic realism is so crucial in this genre. I think it can make it or break it. And even the characters were bored by it. Like they would basically be like, okay, when's that annoying ghost gonna get up and go to the bathroom so I can travel to the past already? Like it was like this kind of like they were annoyed with the ghost and I don't know, it just didn't seem special anymore. And so, yeah, I just think, okay, but I do want to be kind. I want to honor the title and be kind. And I'm going to imagine that this author, he's got to be running out of stories by now. And perhaps there was some pressure by the publisher, keep going, because these are really popular and keep pumping them out. And maybe, he wrote this under duress or, maybe he signed a contract for a series of 5, and there was a bit of pressure there. Like, no offense to him. I mean, good effort. But I just, unfortunately, it fell short for me. And because the whole time I was reading it, I was comparing it. So perhaps if it had been the first book I had read of healing fiction, I wouldn't be so hard on it. But because of I'm going to use the word magic, but because of the magic of those other 2 books and how, again, I fell in love with them, I think it made this read more challenging for me.
That is interesting because apparently I was one of the few that liked this book in the book club. The characters, they were unexceptional people, but they were believable. I mean, nothing monumental happens, but I believed in the characters. I believed in their backstories, and it intrigued me because the author was often describing the appearance and the clothing worn by each character, so I could really see them in my mind's eye. Yeah, now I'm curious. I want to read more in the series to see. I have to admit, Before I Knew I Loved You, Before Your Memory Fades, they're all just a little bit on the sentimental side for me. But I would like to try one more in the series.
What do you think are some of the elements of healing fiction from the ones that you have read that you enjoy? You mentioned magical realism, but what else is there, do you think, that stands out in the books that are typecast as healing fiction, that what stands out that you enjoy about them?
I think for me is that they're not saccharine sweet. And I think that could happen. Like if you think of healing fiction, you might think of like Hallmark, kind of, that idea. And what I love is that they don't fall in that trap at all. For me, there's this beautiful balance between light and darkness and hope and despair. But yay, hope does win out. Yes. And I think that's really important because the message here to everyone who's reading it is that healing is possible. And I can't imagine a better message than that.
That's true. I go with that. This book I have not read, but the title and the description makes me want to read it. So maybe I'm going to be a convert now. It's called The Restaurant of Lost Recipes. And it's about a father-daughter team that run a cafe, and they don't just serve meals to people, they serve nostalgia. So people sort of get their favorite food served to them, and it brings them back to a special time. Maybe it's, yeah. Anyway, I love food, and I love defining people by how they approach their food, clothing and food. Yeah. So I'm gonna definitely try that. But I did read one more book just for this podcast called The Messenger Cat Cafe, and it has a cat on the cover, just because it's got a cat in the title. And again, I liked it. It's not traveling, but the cat is traveling between the green world and the blue, or life and death. This cat has recently died, and it wants to go back and see its owner again, but he has to either wait 7 months, I don't know why, or complete 5 tasks. And the tasks are basically passaging messages from people in the green world, the alive world, to the dead, or vice versa. And well, obviously, the cat completes those tasks, gets together with its owner again, but it doesn't really say how long they get to be together. So that part I felt wasn't resolved. And yeah, it was really enjoyable, even though I'm not a cat person. But I like the concept. I like the back and forth. I like the personality of the cats that are in the book. I think it's time for there to be a dog in healing fiction.
Well, talking about cats, one of the things that's sort of a mainstay in when the healing fiction books are translated to an English-speaking audience, the publishers will find a way, even if the title doesn't have cat in it, to put a cat on the cover. And it seems to be, they think that helps make an audience pick it up. But sometimes there's not even a cat in the book. So I'm wondering what you think of that they're almost making the cat a mascot or something of this type of work.
Yes, I think it's really good marketing, because whenever I look at any of these covers, they're very attractive and they're very cute. And as you say, there's usually this adorable cat on the cover. And I think it's great marketing, because it just makes you think again of that cozy. And before I read Will Prescribe You a Cat, I didn't think about really how healing cats could be. And so for me, that was the flagship introduction to that. So I think that, yeah, again, it's just become a symbol of cozy healing.
I wonder why coffee is usually mentioned in cafes. That's a very common theme. And
Yes.
I guess I'm not a coffee drinker. That's the problem. I can't really relate, but I guess it is a place where you get together with people and have good times. So I guess I get it. But cats, cafes, and books, really, libraries and bookstores. That seems to be the ongoing thing. And restaurants. I haven't read enough about restaurants, although there is a very interesting cake described in the Messenger Cafe. And it's a cream puff cake, and I can't quite envision it, but I want to find a recipe.
So healing fiction really started in Japan and has also grown in South Korea. But I'm just wondering, do you think there's anything similar that are in English novels? Can you think of anything that is relatable, or is it something that we sort of lack in that sort of, it's not overly dramatic. It's to be kind of a quick read. And it is, I think, to bring some comfort while you read it. Do we have anything similar, do you think?
So before I read the book that I'm going to talk about in a moment, my impression of healing fiction and Western culture in the past has been that self-help book, so the nonfiction, so the self-help book, that idea. But I think, this idea of healing fiction is new. And so very recently, I picked up a novel by Elizabeth Berg, and a super quick read, so kind of similar in that way. It's called Life, a Love Story. And I didn't pick it up thinking, oh, this is going to be healing fiction, but I just picked it up because I like Elizabeth Berg and I've liked some of her other books. And this was 2026, so published this year, brand new. So I do think she may have been influenced by the healing fiction from Japan and South Korea, because she did actually have quite a few elements in the book. So there was a newly adopted cat that kind of ended up being a bit of a friend matchmaker. So that's kind of similar. There was a kind and knowledgeable librarian. Like when the main character was like, I need to solve a problem, I'm going to go to the library. So that was kind of similar. Lots of tea and coffee and comfort foods. And then, of course, there was tons of life-changing healing advice. However, so this is where it kind of ends, because there wasn't any magic realism, which I think is a key characteristic, but it's not easy to venture into that world. And also, it wasn't episodic in nature. It really just was the protagonist basically at the end of her life, but when she was meeting people along the way, of course there was healing that was going on. So in that sense, it was almost similar.
Yeah.
But I really recommend this book. Like super quick read, and again, not too saccharine sweet. It's definitely a trap that an author could fall in. So if you're thinking of that healing fiction, you might not think about balancing again that light and darkness, hope and despair. But I think, yeah, if hope always wins, then that's really important.
That does sound like an interesting book, and it does sound like she may have been influenced by the healing fiction genre. I honestly can't think of any. I mean, I'm too literal. I think magical realism, I think Harry Potter, those are not healing. They're very dark. They get darker as it goes. So no, obviously not Harry Potter. And I don't know why it's so hard to work it in. That's what's so great about these two books that I read. It's just, nobody's really questioning that this is happening. It's just happening that way. And I think some authors could slip that into just one of their novels. Maybe I'll do a short story of magical realism.
So lastly, do you think you'll read more healing fiction going forward?
Definitely. I'm going to pick up some more along the way. I think there's a Will Prescribe You a Cat 2. So that would be good. Hopefully it's still as magical, because this is now I'm worried, but I'm so excited just thinking about that one. So that would be definitely one that I would want to pick up.
Well, I have to read the book that you didn't like, because since I enjoyed that first one, I want to see how similar it is and whether I agree with you that he just was doing it under duress or for a contract. So I will. And the restaurant one, the Lost Recipes, yeah.
And just, I would like to say how these books are excellent for escaping real life. And because real life right now is so difficult, and with everything going on in the world, and it really does draw you in to a world where you can believe in good and you can believe in healing and
time travel.
And time travel, which is so cool just on its own.
Thank you, Anne-Marie and Fred, for joining me to chat about healing fiction. I hope this podcast episode has inspired you to check out some healing fiction from your local library or bookshop. Some of the book titles you heard mentioned in this episode, and some extras you may want to check out, will be in the show note descriptions, or you can visit the Marmora and Lake Public Library blog to read all about them. To the Library podcast is produced by the Marmora and Lake Public Library. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time, keep reading.